Thanks for clicking! The London and St. Thomas Association of Realtors, LSTAR, has released London's real estate data for the month of March, showing the slowest real estate market by far for the past 12 Marches. Yeah, with sales plunging amid a 9-year high in the number of listings available, London saw its first price reversals that it's seen since December of 2024, with both the benchmark and the average price dropping.
Tomorrow will probably be worse.
With that said, though prices are starting to move downward, we're not seeing any apparent signs of stress. No abnormal number of listings coming to the market. In fact, the number of new listings is abnormally low. However, unfortunately, as we'll get into today, given the current economic uncertainties, it's not clear how long that's going to last. As such, let's get this out of the way early. If you are one of the very few in the market right now, you have an awful lot of buying power, which means, as always, home inspections, finance conditions, if your realtor can't or pretends they can't protect your financial interests, get a better realtor. There's like thousands of them right now that will be more than happy for the work.
I am not amused.
So what I want to do today is go over London's real estate data for the month of March, take a look at how well the market is holding up as of now given all the current uncertainties, and then discuss some tips if you are in the market. As we'll see today, London's market is holding up fairly well given the level of uncertainty that we've seen over the past few months, and we will obviously continue to track how this all unfolds amid current geopolitical uncertainties. Make sure you click like and subscribe if you want to get those updates, but for now, let's get into this data. On to the data. First up, the benchmark price. The benchmark price, that's the price of a home that represents the most popular set of features, and that was down in March. London's benchmark in February was $622,100, and that fell almost $8,000 to $614,300 in March. So the benchmark is down about $8,000 since last month, still up about $12,000 since last year, back when we were hearing signs of a real estate revival and apparent multiple offers.
I saw it!
Next, the average price, which also fell, though by not nearly as much. The average price in February was $641,490, and that fell a little over $500 to $640,800. So, a marginal decline in the average price, still up about 0.6% from this point in time last year. With that said, as we'll see with the median price, a lot of the higher end stuff is selling, which helps push prices up. Speaking of which, onto the median price, that's the price where half as many homes in London are sold over that price and half as many are sold under that price. The median price in February was $587,000, whereas in March it bumped to $593,000. So since half as many of the homes sold are sold over that $593,000 mark, we can see upward pressure on that average price. So the median price up about $6,000, but down about $5,000 since this point in time in 2024. Next, the sales to list price ratio, which measures by how much over or under asking a home sells. So if a home is listed for $100,000 and sells for $98,000, the SLPR would be 98, and that bumped up, though marginally, in March. London's SLPR in February was 98.1, and that jumped up to 98.5 in March, meaning, on average, homes are selling for about 1.5% less than their asking price.
I earned it.
And finally, the months of inventory measurement, the MOI, which measures if no more homes came to the market, how long would it take for London to completely run out of homes for sale, and that remained static. The MOI in February was 4.3, and that stayed at 4.3 in March. And while the MOI remained static, that's still the highest, by far, MOI that London has seen going into that spring real estate market for the past 12 years. So, in summary, we have the benchmark price down about $8,000. We have the average price down by about $500. The median is up by about $6,000. Homes are still selling for under asking, though less so. And we have the exact same relative inventory sitting on the market as we had in February. But the real story, as it has been for the past few months, is the sales numbers, coming in at 344 by a vast amount, the lowest number of sales that London has seen in March for the past 12 Marches. And that has led to a lot of listings just sitting on the market, now sitting at the highest amount since March of 2016. With that said, as we would expect given the slowness of the market, homeowners are not in any big rush to sell, with new listings coming in at 765, the second lowest number of new listings that London has seen since March of 2018. Further, it's also the lowest increase in new listings that London has seen for the past 12 Marches, with an 8% increase since February, compared to the usual 10, 20, 30, 40, 50% increases that London's accustomed to heading into that spring market. So, despite all of the uncertainty that's pushed buyers out of the market, leading to that 12-year low in the number of sales, we're not seeing any real signs of stress in the system either. No massive increases in new listings, no mass panic selling. With all of that said, we are seeing a lot of price reductions. $499K to $480, $530K to $480, $648 down to $529, $649 down to $599. And I just put those together on a fairly random sampling coming from HouseSigma. I'll leave the link in the description, so if you are in the market, you can take a look at the price history of any house that happens to be for sale. But it makes sense. That's why they say house prices take an elevator up and the stairs down. As houses continue to sit, as they continue to sit at a certain price point, if they still haven't sold, prices will slowly adjust to get those houses sold.
Circumstances have changed.
Which, we're also starting to hear more and more of that from our local sales superstars. That if the house is priced correctly, it will sell. Which I thought that's what the 4% commission was for.
It's 5.
So, while we are not seeing any panic selling, prices are coming down. If things start to reverse coming out of down south and Londoners get some sort of sign of normalcy, then we could see that trend reverse. But so long as this goes on coming from down south, I can't see Londoners piling into a great big purchase anytime soon. Meaning prices aren't going anywhere anytime soon either. In fact, there's a fairly good chance that if you submit and have an offer accepted today, by the time you close in say 2 or 3 months, that house could not be worth what you paid for it. You could owe more on that house than it's worth.
That could never happen.
Well, it does happen. It happened here, and here, and here, and most recently here. If you bought that benchmark price home in February for $620,000, put the minimum down payment, add in the mortgage insurance, and are set to close in May, you owe $608,000. And that home is worth $614,000. Pretty close in just 1 month's time. Which means if you are in the market, if you are willing to take that risk and are willing to ride this out, willing to wait for prices to go back up, which they will eventually, it's just a matter of how long,
Couple days.
and you are secure in your job, you've got a lot of buying power. I don't think I've done a file this year that didn't include a finance condition and a home inspection, which, given that those home inspections, a few of them found potential issues, that was a good thing. So if you are going to be in the market in this uncertain time, make sure you utilize that newfound buying power. That buying power, the most of which Londoners have had since at least 2016. Get those conditions in place, make sure you do your due diligence, and make sure it's the right home. No pressure, given the number of listings and the lack of sales, you have an awful lot of time available to you to choose. With that said, we will obviously continue to track London's market as everything continues to play out on this channel. Make sure you click like and subscribe if you want to get those updates, but for now, thanks so much for watching.